I want you to picture something. Porch at Old Key West, evening, water behind us, the whole resort going quiet around us, the way it does after dinner. Lee and I are relaxing, watching the squirrels run across the golf course, and I'm thinking about how long it took us to get here. Because we didn't start at Old Key West. Our first stay was a dingy Motel 6 on International Drive. And between there and here, we made more resort mistakes than I want to put a number on. In 30 plus years of coming to Walt Disney World, we've stayed in every tier this place offers. Value, moderate, deluxe. We've done them all. Most of the stays taught us something. A few of them taught us something the hard way. Today, I'm going to walk you through all of it. What worked, what didn't, and what we wish somebody had told us before we booked. This isn't a ranking. It's not a rating system. It's just the truth from two people who learned it by living it. I'm Lee with All About the Duck. And this is part 2 of our Disney World 100 Trips of Hard Lessons series. If you missed part 1, it's linked on screen right now. Now let's talk about the resort mistakes that took us 30 years to figure out. Before we go tier by tier, I want to be upfront about something. This is not a video about bad resorts. Disney doesn't make bad resorts. What they make is resorts that are right for certain trips and completely wrong for others. Almost every mistake we made wasn't picking a terrible place, it was picking the right place for the wrong trip at the wrong stage of our Disney life. That distinction matters because if I just say value resorts are too loud and moderates are overpriced and deluxes are worth every penny, that's not actually useful to you. The truth is more specific than that. So let's start at the beginning. And by the end of this video, I'll tell you which resort stay changed our Disney vacation so much that we eventually bought into the Disney Vacation Club. When Lee and I started coming to Disney World, it was the early 90s. We just moved to New Orleans for our first jobs. The value resorts didn't even exist yet. The All-Stars opened in 1994. But once they did, and once our budget pointed us that direction, we went. And here's the honest thing I'll say about value resorts. For the trip we were taking, they were fine. That's what nobody says out loud. If you're going to Disney World to be in the parks from rope drop until the last firework, and the resort is purely a place to collapse, value resorts do exactly what they're supposed to do. They're clean, they're Disney. The bus system works. The price is the lowest you'll find on property. And when you walk through the gates at a park, which Disney resort you sleep at last night is meaningless. The mistake isn't staying at a value resort. The mistake is staying at one for the wrong kind of trip. We learned that when our kids were very young. We booked a value resort. I'm not throwing any single one under the bus, and we did not account for two things. One, the pools at value resorts are built for energy, music, activities, fun. Great when your kids are in it. Not great at 9 o'clock at night when your 4-year-old has been awake since 6 in the morning and there's music thumping outside the window. Two, the rooms are small, not just hotel small, small, small. Two adults, two kids, a stroller that doesn't fully fold, and a bag of stuff you swore you'd leave in the room. By day two, you're stepping over each other to get to the bathroom. We survived that trip. But somewhere around day 3, we realized we weren't fighting Disney crowds anymore. We were fighting our room. But we came home with a rule. Value resorts for adult trips. When it's just Lee and me, we're spending every hour in the parks. A value resort makes complete sense. The moment the kids came with us, we needed more room and more quiet. One exception, and I mean this, is art of animation. If you have young kids deep into Finding Nemo or Cars or The Little Mermaid, the family suites there are a different conversation entirely. More space, theming that genuinely hits for kids, and the value math works. That's a resort they built right for families, for the standard value rooms. Know your trip before you book. This is where I have to be honest about something uncomfortable. The moderate tier can be a trap. Now, before the Port Orleans fans come after me, hear me out. Here's how it works. You look at the value resorts, decide you want something a little nicer, land on a moderate, and pay $60 to $100 more per night for improvements you might not actually care about. Better theming? Absolutely. Port Orleans is beautiful. The riverside, especially, feels like the Louisiana Bayou. And as someone from Louisiana, that one hits a little personal for me. The food courts are better, the pools are better. Walking around a moderate resort in the evening feels more like being somewhere than staying somewhere. But here's what doesn't change: transportation. A moderate resort runs on the same bus system as a value resort. You're still waiting at the bus stop. You're still not walking to Magic Kingdom. You're still not on the monorail. And at that price point, moderates sit at two, three, sometimes $400 a night, depending on the season. You start doing math in your head and wondering if you should have saved up a little longer and gone deluxe. That's the trap. Moderates cost enough to feel like a decision, but don't deliver the transportation or amenities advantages that actually change your day. When do they make sense? Couples trips where you want to feel like you're somewhere nice without needing a suit. Trips where the theming of a specific resort genuinely matters to you. And Port Orleans Riverside is a genuinely lovely place to stay. Trips where the deluxe budget isn't there and you know that you're going in and you're happy with it. The mistake we made with moderates wasn't picking them. It was picking them while secretly wishing we were somewhere else. If you're going to stay in the moderate tier, commit to it. Know what you're getting and be glad for it. Don't do it as a compromise that satisfies nobody. And the biggest mistake we made wasn't at a value resort or a moderate resort. It happened after we already started staying deluxe. Okay, now we're somewhere. My honest take on deluxe resorts. The ones built around a transportation advantage are worth the price in a way that's genuinely hard to explain until you felt it. The monorail resorts, Grand Floridian, Polynesian, Contemporary, change your relationship with Magic Kingdom. You wake up and you're there in 8 minutes. You come back for a midday break and it costs you nothing but a short ride. You stay until the last firework and you're back in your room before most people are off of Main Street. Or even more relaxing is you watch the fireworks from your resort across the Seven Seas Lagoon. That access changes a trip. It especially changes a trip with young kids because the midday resort break goes from a transportation project to something you can actually do. Same thing for Epcot resorts. Boardwalk, yacht club, beach club, walking distance to Epcot's back entrance. If the World Showcase is your reason for going, being able to walk out of the park and back to your room is a fundamentally different experience than flagging down a bus. Now, the deluxe stays we got wrong. We stayed at a gorgeous deluxe resort. I'll keep which one between me and the credit card statement. On a trip that was primarily Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, we were at Epcot one day. We never used the transportation advantage. We paid deluxe prices for a trip that didn't need anything a deluxe resort offers. The resort was wonderful. The decision was wrong. Animal Kingdom Lodge is its own category, and I'll say it plainly. Stay there once. The savannah views, the animals outside your window at sunrise, the food, that's not a resort choice. That's an experience choice. When you're drinking coffee on your balcony and a giraffe casually walks by your window, you've stopped staying at a hotel and started having an experience. If you can do it once, do it once. The lesson from Deluxe Resort is the same as every other tier. Match the resort to the parks you've actually going to. Monorail resorts for Magic Kingdom trip, Epcot resorts for an Epcot trip. Don't pay for an advantage you're not going to use. Let me tell you the real reason we bought DVC, and it's not the one most people expect. It wasn't the math. The math came later, and it held up. But that's not what made us sign. It was June of 2000. I was pregnant with our second child. We knew we wanted to keep having Disney trips as a family. And that trip to Old Key West was the first time either of us had been in a Disney resort that felt like a home instead of a hotel. Full kitchen, living room, porch over the water, washers and dryers, space for the kids to decompress somewhere that wasn't 2 feet from where we were sleeping. At some point on that trip, Lee looked at me on the porch, same porch I described at the top of the video, and said, I want to be able to come back here. That was it. That was the whole decision. It wasn't an investment decision. It wasn't a spreadsheet decision. It was a family decision. Now, I will be straight with you about DVC right now. It's not for everyone, and I won't pretend otherwise. It's a significant upfront cost, and the math was not as favorable as it was in 2000 when we purchased. The annual dues increased over time. You need to use it consistently for the math to make sense. And you are making a long bet on loving Disney World for a long time. We are 30 plus years into that bet. I feel fine about it. What DVC changed for us practically day to day, trip to trip is the kitchen. We rarely buy breakfast in the parks. We do not buy bottled water. We rarely buy snacks at park prices. We stock the kitchen when we arrive and we eat like human beings for a fraction of what we'd spend otherwise. Over the course of a week, that's real money. And we're going to get into exactly how much in video 3. The space matters too. Now that it's just Lee and me, having that kitchen and the porch means the resort is actually somewhere we want to spend time, not just somewhere we sleep between park days. What I can tell you right now is that the night we stayed at Old Key West the first time, something clicked that hadn't clicked in any other resort at any other price. We chased that feeling. We caught it. When we sit on that porch at Old Key West today, we're not thinking about room categories or resort tiers. We're thinking about the trips that got us there, the value stays, the moderate stays, the deluxe stays we got right, and the ones we got completely wrong. Because here's what 30 years of Disney resort mistakes actually taught us. The question is never, what's the best Disney resort? The question is, what does this specific trip actually need? If you're the kind of people who leave at rope drop and don't come back until the park closes, save your money. Stay at a value. Family that wants resort time in the afternoon and the pool matters, moderate or deluxe, depending on budget. Magic Kingdom is your anchor park. Monorail Resort, Epcot is your reason for going. Walk to Epcot. Match the resort to the trip, not to the tier you think you should be in, not to the one that sounds most impressive, the one that fits what you're actually going to do. We figured that out the hard way across 30 years. You don't have to. We've slept in a lot of Disney rooms. Some of them were exactly right. A lot of them taught us something we didn't see coming, and we wouldn't give any of it back. Even the ones that were too small, too loud, or too far from the park, we kept wanting to be at. Every one of those days gave us something we brought in the next trip. The fact that Disney offers this range, that you can go anywhere from a value resort to a DVC villa with a kitchen and a porch and your name on a piece of it, is something no other destination does. No other place lets you choose how deep into the experience you want to go. We went all the way in. That's us. But there's a version of this that's exactly right for your trip, your budget, and wherever you are right now. And figuring out which version that is, that's what we're here for. Next week, we spent $400 more than we needed to on food for almost 10 years before we figured out the fix. It's not complicated. Disney isn't going to tell you about it. And once you know it, you'll use it on every single trip. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And as always, see you real soon.